Hello, we're live. We're live.
Are we the only ones in here?
Cheers, happy Sunday.
Oh, yes, happy Sunday. Good morning.
There's one person here. Is that us?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how this works.
If you're a person out there, let us know if you have audio and visual and we're all good on a technical front.
Yeah, it's... hold on, I'm going to put silence on my phone.
Silence, mortal.
Who's in there?
Who's here? How are you?
How do I do silence on here?
New tech. New
Oh
tech.
my God. I don't know how.
3 people.
Oh, there it is.
Who's there? Good morning. What's on your mind? What 5 things did you accomplish last week? We're memeing here that
Yeah.
Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm taking some heat on X for my stance that accountability is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so it's been a little while since our last live chat.
It has.
Couple months, I guess, right?
Something
Maybe,
like that. Yeah.
At least. Hello, Gazendo. I have one of your requests on my list for us to record a reaction to today. I can't remember which one, but I remember that I had a Gazendo request in there. So
Nice. That's always good, actually. I don't think Gazendo's done much in the way of steering us wrong over the course of many
it's always
suggestions.
been good. I actually feel a little ashamed about how few of them we've got to, but maybe we should do more than one. I have to go through the list again.
It's always the
wherever
list.
it is. So,
Sulphur lad, hello.
hello, sir. There's another one that's never steered us wrong.
That's right.
Can you guys hear us okay? Like, we don't have our microphones. We accidentally left them at the other house, so we're kind of struggling with our technology. This is the... I've never owned 2 houses at once before. Like, I don't know how people with, like, summer houses ever did it, because I'm constantly forgetting to move stuff back and forth. It's been a real pain. So
Thanks, Sulphur lad.
thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing the renovations on the other house, and like, I'd really love to just sell it because I'm kind of tired of going back and forth. I don't know how people did it.
It is a nice spot, though.
It is a nice spot. The thing is, I suppose if you didn't live in a place that was already, like our farm is already kind of perfect, then if you lived in a place that wasn't like that, then having a summer house or a cottage that you could go to that was nicer is worth it. But for us, it's not worth it.
Hello, Stephen Last.
Hello, sir.
We're getting all the afternoon people on the other side of the Atlantic.
It's true. He says, it's been a while since I caught one of your live streams. It's been a while since we've done one.
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple months. So, because I just says he's never owned a house. I recommend it. I've never been a very good renter. I don't like, well, okay.
Following the rules of others is always a problem.
I don't have a problem with rules. I have a problem with rule by others, which is not the same thing, right? There's very few people I've met who are smart enough or capable enough to tell me how to live.
And that includes me.
Yeah. I have a significant amount of respect for people's personal property. I have really strong feelings about personal property rights. So a person who owns their property should be entitled to do whatever they want with it. However, it means when they're renting to somebody else, like if I was renting from somebody, I feel that same way, but it means it restricts what I can do, and I hate that. So I loved owning property. I love owning property because then I can do whatever I want.
You just got to be free.
I like to be free. It's true. It's true. I'm willing to actually fight for my freedom with weaponry. So that's how strongly I feel about it.
What about your right to party?
I don't care for partying actually that much. I'm not much of a partier.
You're not going to fight for your right?
I see what you did there.
You're just ignoring it. Thanks.
So how is everybody today? We've got 12 people in there. So I won't lie, my list for reactions has gotten quite long. So it actually, when it gets long enough, it gets so intimidating, it's actually hard to do. So, oh, Brent's in there. Hello, sir. So for those of you who don't know, Brent Wallace is a personal friend. He actually visited the house we've been renovating I guess in
Couple months
December.
ago, yeah.
Yeah. And we took them to a few of our favorite spots in Costa Rica. He says, "What coffee are you on?" I don't know. It's the cheapest one in the store.
Two
We're
and a half.
actually not connoisseurs.
2.5.
2.5.
I had 2 and.
Oh, which number? Oh, I thought he was asking what brand.
1820.
I don't know. I only ever have 2 coffees because I can only drink it until it's like I have to drink it piping hot. If my coffee gets even a little tepid, I cannot drink it. So I end up wasting half my cup every time.
I'm glad you had fun, Brent. House is looking better, though not done.
It's almost done. I'm looking forward to having it friggin' done. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, Brent's one of the people that we've managed to actually showcase Costa Rica to. That was fun. Except for the volcano. We went to visit Poas volcano, and it was covered in fog and rain. So we didn't get anything except for a picture of fog, which is fun in a different way.
Hey, that's all right, though. We got the sloth on the way down the road.
Yeah.
Coming back.
So guys, channel stuff. I don't know. There's not that much new on the channel, although we were watching the other day somebody do a reaction to movie trailers, and I said to Mike, we should do that because I've watched those movie trailer videos all the time, and like I love watching movie trailers. I'm one of those people that when you go to ask him, we'd go for date night to the movie theater, and he'd be like, the movie doesn't start till 7:20, which means that it really doesn't start till almost 8 o'clock. I said, yeah, but we got to be there for the trailers.
Got it.
I can't miss the trailers. It's half the fun, right? Like I want to know what's coming up that I'm also going to want to see. So
you know how you know we're old? There used to be stuff in the trailers coming up that you wanted to see.
Oh, that's true.
I think the movie industry has kind of gone downhill the last 10 or 20 years.
I can't lie. It's getting really, really hard to watch things that don't make you want to stab your eyes out with a fork. That's for sure. It's there's not a lot of original stories. I'm actually getting really tired of seeing drawn out sequels and like remakes of movies. Like, how many times are we going to remake Mean Girls? The first one was fine, right? Like,
actually, the pre-Mean Girls was even better.
Heathers.
It's
true, but they were different. In Heathers, there was actual murder.
Heathers was a lot darker.
Yeah, so it is kind of a different movie, but yeah, that's the thing. So we were considering actually doing adding to the channel reactions to movie trailers too, because I think that would be fun as a little break. Maybe once a week on a Sunday we'll do movie trailer reactions. I don't know if we can get that many movie trailers once a week.
Well, the nice thing is there's videos of movie trailers for like the last 100 years worth of movies.
Yeah, but a bunch of those movies we've already seen. It's kind of like cheating.
But sometimes that's half the fun. How much justice to the movie does the trailer do? How way off is it? How much is it misrepresented, or how perfect is it? Yeah, there's stuff
You're seeing our brainstorming in real time, guys.
There's stuff to say about trailers, even if you know the movie. I think.
I guess that's true. I guess it's true.
Because how many times have you seen a trailer and then gone to see the movie and it's like, okay, you just showed me like every good thing in the movie, or this doesn't resemble the movie in the slightest.
So Brent says he watched The Gorge last night. You're the second person I know who's mentioned that they watched that recently and really enjoyed it. He says it's on Apple TV. I was just yesterday telling Mike, because we were going to cancel our Netflix subscription because I'm so tired of just nothing watchable on Netflix. And I said, maybe we should transfer that money to the Apple TV because I've heard a ton of people talk about Severance as a really kind of excellent show. And I can't lie, the trailer for it looks really good. So I was thinking about moving our Netflix money to Apple TV instead. And so maybe we could add The Gorge on that too. Is that a movie, Brent? Like I think it's a movie. But yeah, it would be nice to just some original stories. And we don't get those very often anymore. And maybe it's because it was original when we were younger because we were so inexperienced, right? Could be. I don't know. And now we've been around.
I've had the same problem as I've gotten older with the fiction I like to read.
Yeah, there's almost nothing readable anymore.
It's all like either full of political messaging and what's supposed to be a fantasy novel or a science fiction novel,
Yeah.
or it's just like the 8 millionth rehashing of the same
Yeah.
ideas I've read 1,000 times.
Well, one thing's for sure, especially in the science fiction genre, it's been hijacked significantly by ideologues that use it as a platform instead of telling stories as a platform to push political messages, which gets really tiring. Don't get me wrong, guys, I love politics. I'm a huge politics junkie. But
There's an understatement.
But there's a place for politics, and I resort to other venues for that message, right? If I pick up a novel to read a science fiction story, I don't want to be free of the politics, because sometimes, like, you get somebody like what's his name? I used to have as a pinned tweet his quote. His name's just completely gone. Anders King? Was it?
Oh, Orson Scott Card.
No, not Orson Scott Card.
Thinking Robert Heinlein.
Robert Heinlein, thank you. So Robert Heinlein's full of politics, right? But it's different. It's kind of enmeshed in the story. It's part of the story. Sometimes it seems almost like they just ratchet it in there, whether it fits or not, and it gets really tired. So what's our comments? Totally agree, Mike. Spoilers and trailers are the worst. And sometimes they put the spoiler in there and you think, oh, it's still going to look really good. And then you watch the movie and you're like, the trailer was literally all the good scenes and everything else in the movie is garbage, right? Like they literally took only the good scenes for the trailer and that was all that was good in it. And it's like, oh, I can't believe I just wasted 2 hours of 2.5 hours of my life of this Marvel movie. Oh, let's see. So Morrissey's autobiography is an interesting. I bet that would be good. I'm currently listening to, because I put it in my ears when I'm working. The Elon Musk biography by Williamson. What's his first name?
Chris Williamson?
No.
Some other Williamson. There's a lot of Williamsons. Yeah.
Isaac Williamson? No, let me see. Uh-oh, we're about to hear Joe Rogan. No. I was in the middle of a Joe Rogan episode. So, Walter Isaacson. I was close. Sort of close. So, the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. It's interesting, right? Like he's an interesting person. However you feel about Elon Musk, you can't deny that he's interesting. That's for sure. And I said to Mike the other day, when I hear the stories about what his childhood was like when he was in school, he was really bullied to the point where he ended up in the hospital for a week. And I'm thinking, I wonder what those kids think now, right? Like the guy who pushed him down the stairs and sent him to the hospital for a week, if he's still alive, I wonder what he thinks now. Like, does he feel even a little bit ashamed?
Actually, Morrissey touched on this once.
Oh, yeah?
We hate it when our friends become successful.
Oh, well, they were friends, obviously, right? It's just interesting. So Morrissey's autobiography, I would absolutely put on my list. I also, for a long time, have had on my list to read Scar Tissue, which is the autobiography or biography, I guess, of Anthony Kiedis. I have a friend who read it and said it was really good. And he seems like an interesting person too. I've seen him on Joe Rogan a few times and was a little bit surprised by how interesting he was. And I'm a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but there's not a lot of like rock stars that I think have anything interesting to say. There's only a few that I would listen to speak, because most of the time they don't really have anything.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Her.
Yeah, it's not for
That's sure bad.
So Gazendo asked, have you watched England Is Mine? Is that a...
That's got to be a Smiths or Morrissey documentary.
Is it?
England is mine and it owes me a living. That's not the right melody, but I can't sing, so who knows?
Well, you know what? I recognized it, so you didn't do too badly. Okay, Joseph Spiegel, good morning.
Where is
it's
here?
Early.
Where is here?
Good morning from Michigan. So, Eulina, I hope I said that right. And good afternoon from A855. So Gazenda says it's Morrissey's early life. Is that I guess it would be a documentary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finding stuff like that now is a challenge, right? Like, where do you find stuff like that? If it's not on a streaming service, right? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or YouTube. It would be great if it's on YouTube.
Joseph is not a robot, but I want to know, like, who leveled the accusation? It wasn't us.
Well, but I appreciate the what do you call it? The clarification, because I'm not a big fan of robots. Yes. The current trend of society these days is quite alarming for me. So I was yesterday, because I was culling birds yesterday, so I was stuck in the rancho plucking birds all day. So I usually will put something on the TV to watch, and I usually tend to pick something I've seen before a few times because I can't focus on it. So it's nice to have it in the background, but I don't want to miss anything. So I was rewatching Life, that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. And near the end, if you haven't watched that movie, guys, it's so good, but it has the worst ending. But by worst, I mean like the most devastating, most terrifying ending. I won't give any spoilers, but I will tell you that it's worth it just for the ending, as long as you don't mind having your heart broken. But I was saying to Mike when all that was happening, like, it's almost like Elon Musk didn't watch this movie, because if I watched this movie, I would have no interest in going to Mars or space ever.
Ginger doesn't like robots or any place where there's no air.
No place
You're
where
a
there's
horrible
air.
space explorer.
And you know what? Almost all of the aliens that I've seen want to murder us.
E.T. didn't want to murder you.
It's been a long time since E.T. was
Paul
around.
didn't want to murder you.
Well, I guess that's true. Anyway.
Alf didn't want to murder you, just your cat.
You can't eat my cat. All right. So Salford Lad says Morrissey's comments on diversity culture were spot on. Yes, totally agree. He basically said when we're all lectured and told to be diverse, we're being homogenized and become the same. That's removing diversity. Yes, and also I will say that when you try to insist that diversity is the only important thing without specifying that some values really need to be shared for everybody to at least be able to get along, then what you're doing is actually destroying society. So there are some things that can't mesh well and should be discouraged. And there's a lot of places where, like, community, shared values, any of that is secondary to the whole, but we need to check off all these boxes, right? Each color needs to be checked off, and that seems really foolish. But so Morrissey was right on about that. He and I disagree about meat, but not about a lot else. So Gazenda said, no, it's a film from 2017. Oh, I'm surprised I haven't heard about it if it's that recent. But we were a little busy in 2017, rebuilding after a house fire. So,
Well, Joseph, we were only joking about you being a robot.
Okay, I have to rewatch it. See what
I remember that you mentioned it.
There was a point in time, way back a few years ago, I had a coworker at one. Like, I tend to have a bit of I have no filter, or very little filter.
We're all shocked.
I once had a coworker turn to me and say, "Have you ever been tested for Tourette's?" I was like, I don't know if I want to know, right? Like, I think I'd just like to leave that ambiguous. So, on the Tori Holub video. Yeah, she was really good still. We have to get back to her, actually. So Salford Led says, I'm with Ginger. The vacuum of space holds no appeal to me. No, right? Like, you die. If there's no air, you die.
Okay, but here's the alternative.
There's also no heat.
Here's the alternative. We're all on one planet. When the asteroid hits, we go the way of the dinosaurs.
Well, you know what? I'd rather it be fast and fiery That'd be okay. It's not like you would see it coming. They would literally just crash into the
They have a
earth.
3% chance of being wiped out by that thing they're tracking now. Well, you do see it coming.
What are you going to do about it?
Go to another planet that's not going to get smoked.
I watched those movies. That does not work out, right? Like, what was that? Red Planet. You remember that movie, Red Planet? That was a friggin' disaster. Oh, no. There's no, first of all, it's cold up there. I hate the cold. And secondly, there's no air. Like it just, and having to wear a diaper, right? The whole muscle loss thing, bone loss, like it's all bad things. These are all things. It's like the universe is signaling, no, guys, don't go there, right? Like there's red flags everywhere. People don't listen.
I don't listen. I'm famous for not listening.
Brent says maybe Mars. What is that in reference to?
Yeah, but she'd have to go through the vacuum of space to get there, Brent. She's not interested.
Yeah, it's like 3 years of travel in space, right? I don't even like driving. Like 3 years of travel on Earth would be too much for me.
I think it's only 6 months, but your point stands. It's a
Months?
long time.
Really?
Well, it depends on
3 years.
where on the orbital alignment you are, but I think the shortest is 6 months.
That's still a lot.
Which is when you would do it.
And then you get there, and there's still currently no air there.
Well, there's a little air.
And there's
it's
a lot
just
of
not breathable.
There's a lot of things that you don't even know are there, right? Like
Martians.
yeah, like the Martian in that movie that yesterday. He was not friendly.
You find Matt Damon's potatoes. It's a horror show.
That was a really good movie. What was the name of that one? The Martian.
The Martian.
The Martian was a great movie, and there were no murderous aliens in that one. So
Just a murderous environment.
just a murderous environment. See, those are the things I like to avoid: murderous aliens and murderous environment. I'm perfectly happy to just die on Earth. It's fine. There's lots of places to explore here.
Alfred's right. The stuff occupying the vacuum is immensely interesting.
That is true.
That is why
we are on one
been
of them.
fascinated.
We are on one of them right now. Joseph reminds me that there's an asteroid on the way. Yes, but Bruce Willis is still alive, so I have hope that we can manage this.
Bruce isn't doing so hot these days. I wouldn't count on it.
He pulled it through last time just fine.
That was 30 years ago, Ginger.
I have faith. Bruce Willis can do anything. Except remember his own name, apparently.
Poor Bruce.
Yeah, Joseph Spiegel says it's like a classic horror movie. Don't open that door, right? I am not that stereotypical pretty girl in the horror movies that does all the dumb things. I'm the one going, why am I going to follow that noise into the basement?
It's in the basement. No problem.
Okay, I have a funny story about that, actually. So in our old house, it was an old Victorian. Like when we bought it, it was 140 something years old.
Yeah, built in 1881.
Yeah. So
Which is a lovely symmetrical number and palindromic.
okay, thanks. So in 2016, we had a house fire. So we had to do a rebuild of the inside. The house was so old and so sturdy, like the exterior of it. They didn't want to tear down the whole building. They just needed to gut the inside and rebuild from the inside. So when they were doing that, we discovered underneath the kitchen floor, there was an old well. Like I was climbing under the floor and it was dirt under there, right? I was climbing under the floor to run some cabling for the cable guy. And I look over and I see like a stone wall that's round. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a well. And it's under the kitchen floor. And the floor was like right on top of it. So I would have had to pull the floorboards up to see inside. But I had so many people say, oh, did you look inside? No, I saw that movie. I'm not looking in there.
Right.
Whatever's in there, I'm leaving it alone. I'll mind my own business. It can stay there.
Yeah,
right?
we lived there for what, 5 years at that point?
Yeah.
And it hadn't harmed us.
No, I'm not
It's all
taking
good.
any chances. Whatever's in there, I don't need to know. I am not that curious. Like I'm a very curious person, but I don't mess with old wells under the floor. No. I don't need to know. So, I am superstitious about some things.
Leave well enough alone.
Exactly. Yes. My mama didn't raise a fool here, just my brother.
I only raised one fool.
Oh, Salford Lad reminds me there's also radiation traveling through the void of space. See, just a bazillion things that are designed to kill you. Why would we go there? Why would
I
we
think
go
I've
there?
already covered that.
I know. Mike and I do not agree about space travel.
I would go.
And if I wasn't around, he would go to Mars for sure. But he wouldn't go without me. So I have to be dead.
If Elon would let me. I can't afford to buy a ticket.
It's true. Well, that's
He
true.
needs to send me up there as like
You could volunteer for the work camps.
yeah, exactly. Like just dumb labor.
Mike could dig a hole. Yeah.
Yes. Usually with my mouth.
See, Stephen Law says, see what I had to look down there. Could be treasure. No. It's in. I've seen the movies. It's never
Could be
treasure.
a creepy Asian girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, guys, you have no idea how many weeks of nightmares I had after the first time I watched The Ring. Oh, it's not for me. The Spiegel says Elam rockets go boom in not a good way. All of them.
Some of them.
Yeah,
Some
a
of
whole bunch of them are good.
have them been used what, like 20 times?
Yeah, I'm really impressed actually by the rockets, to be honest. It's nobody else can do that right now. It's really I'm excited about the technology and the advancement. I just don't personally want to go there. I'm happy that somebody else is doing it. Hold on, I'm gonna go. Sorry guys, I'll be right back.
I'll entertain the people. Watch me shuck and jive. Yeah, Portal to Hell would have been bad. Oh, the Elon rockets we were talking about. That reusable, landing on their fins. Plastic. And I think those starships are going to stop pretty quick. Go fast, blow stuff up, learn some lessons, and move on. It's fantastic. You do not sing. You already got my singing for this episode.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Listen, Gazendo, we all do things we're not meant to do. That's what makes life worth living.
No, I'm totally with Gazendo on this one. No. I actually really like gravity, even though sometimes it does
Gets
me
you
dirty.
down. Sometimes it gets you down.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, I prefer it. I wouldn't mind flying, that's for sure. But whenever I come up against those questions is if you could get any superpower, would it be? Flying would be probably my first choice. I'd love to fly. I just like feeling free, right? Like free of things, free of constraints.
See, that would have been a lot more appealing back in North America. You can get away from the traffic and the congestion. Just go like, screw you guys, I'm flying.
Are you kidding?
But down here, there's no congestion to worry
No,
about.
but there's a lot of things to see. I would love to be up in the air and view the mountains from above. Like before I destroyed my drone, I really enjoyed taking drone shots of the nature. It was very cool. I would like a new drone one day. Okay, so Stefan says, I guess it could have been a portal to hell. Yeah, why take chances, right? There's a lot of possibilities. I'm not a superstitious, I'm a little bit of a superstitious person about certain things. And that's one of those things, is that there's a lot of things that I believe we really don't understand. And why take chances unnecessarily, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't actually experienced a haunting, but a couple things that made me question that I wasn't sure about. And I've had friends who have experienced things that I believe that leave me wondering and a little alarmed.
And I am an utter skeptic pragmatist.
Mike believes in nothing like that.
I believe in nothing. Leave me the hell alone. That's what I believe in.
Yeah.
It seems to work for the spirit world.
It's okay.
If it exists.
It's okay.
They're like, okay, we'll leave you alone.
I'm taking precautions on our behalf together. Okay? Don't worry.
Why not digging in the well?
You should open that well up if you feel that way.
I was
I'm
at work an hour away.
Oh, yeah. It was funny because at the time we weren't living in the house because it was being gutted. And I had a security camera set up inside. And one time in the middle of the night, the one in the kitchen, and this was when there was a hole in the floor still from when I went down because they had to reinforce the foundation. And there was a camera kind of trained on that area. And in the middle of the night, one time it went off for motion. And I reviewed the video and something white went across it. And I flipped out because as soon as I went to hit play, I was like, please God, don't let it be an Asian girl climbing out of the hole in the floor. I was actually a little bit nervous about it because you never know,
Well,
right?
if it was, she left.
Something white went across. I suspect it was probably a moth or something, that's fine and it's totally passable. But I had to click with trepidation. I can't lie. I was not very brave. So, Unchained Melody. What's that about?
Me singing. It's
Were
not
you trying
happening.
to sing Unchained Melody?
I threatened to sing.
Oh, God.
I got a request.
No.
Nobody wants that.
No. Mike singing
don't.
and me singing, those are two things you really don't want. Just no.
No, you really
No.
don't.
I'm more of a dancer. Dancing, fine. Singing, no. So Self-Adult says, I'm a scientist and have a logical mind, yet I was genuinely terrified when I was once camping in a remote location and saw a shadowy figure silently walking past my camp.
It was me.
Sasquatch.
I'm stealthy.
You're kind of like a Sasquatch. You're very hairy.
I'm very hairy. I mean, I'm somewhat hairy.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's things we don't know about and things we do not understand. And it's fine, right? I'm not really terrified of it, but I like to be humble. I don't like the idea that some people have that they know everything. That, it can't possibly be things in the woods that we've never seen before. Well, actually, it is possible. One example of that is on Joe Rogan's podcast once, he had Graham Hancock on with another guy. I can't remember his name. Some a scruffy ginger guy. And they were doing a debate about archaeology. And he kept insisting it's not possible what Graham Hancock was saying is possible because we've never found it. And Graham kept saying, yeah, but we've only explored 3% of the ocean.
And you weren't looking for this.
And you weren't looking for it. So you can't say for sure that it's there, but you also can't say for sure that it's not. And the guy kept insisting, no, if it was there, we would have found some of it. I don't know if you don't get what I'm saying.
Absence
right?
of evidence is not evidence of
Yeah.
absence.
So people that have that attitude, I can't even listen to it all because it's foolish. We don't need to think like that. I like curiosity in that regard. I mean, I'm happy for somebody else to find those things, and I'll read about it on the news. Personally, I wouldn't go track.
You're also happy for somebody else to do the vacuum of space and go to Mars.
Yeah, if
As
they
long
want to.
as they don't bring back any life forms.
No bringing back life forms. That never works out either. We can't even figure out the life forms on this planet. It's crazy. Who is it that? Oh, yeah, I was arguing with somebody on X yesterday about this new, what do you call it? Technology they've discovered where they use these little nano coils that grab onto slow sperms and help kind of power them into an egg to help fertilize for low motility sperm, which sounds like a really good advancement for human beings. But I just keep thinking, if that sperm's not going to make it on its own, do we really want that sperm breeding?
Hitler. You're Hitler. You're a eugenicist. You're evil.
I'm just saying, nature has these rules for a reason, and every time we discard them, thinking we know better, we make mistakes. Usually some very catastrophic mistakes. So I just like to be more cautious. That's all.
Leave well enough alone.
Well, no, I like to, I mean, without advancement, we would still be dying of dysentery, right? But
You're reminding me of Kate's. Is it Kate or was it Kathy? That if women were in charge, we'd be living in caves still, but with really nice curtains.
I think that was Kate. Yeah. It's why does that have to do with what I was saying?
But just about advancement.
Oh well,
Still living in caves is a lack of advancement.
I like advancement. I just like cautious advancement. The hubris that is involved in a lot of technological endeavor is often a real big problem.
Tell the sperm not to open that door.
Right? It can't because it has low motility. So, hello to Malaysia.
And sulfur lead is hitting on part of the discussion we had about this. Like, it depends on why the motility is bad. It doesn't necessarily mean the genetic package is bad. It could be environmental causes making bad sperm carrying good packages. But the thing is, you don't know unless you test.
Yeah, so the problem is, are they checking to make sure that the low motility of the sperm is because of an environmental factor that doesn't affect the DNA, or are they just randomly picking a slow sperm and just throwing it in there?
I hope the package is good.
Yeah, just I don't know. So okay, I'll tell the story. Another one. Every time
Ginger got stories.
I'm full of stories. full of something. Anyway, every time I come across stuff like this, I'm reminded of the ladybugs. So years and years and years ago, when we lived in Canada, near Toronto, there was a problem with aphids. They were really bad, actually. So some genius somewhere decided, oh, well, ladybugs eat aphids. And there's a particularly voracious kind of ladybug in Europe somewhere, Scandinavia, I think.
I thought it was Asia, but either way.
Was it Asia? I thought it was Scandinavia.
Anyway,
but anyway.
Different type of ladybug than is native to the southern Ontario.
Yeah, so they were like, well, let's just ship over some of these ladybugs and they'll take care of the aphid problem. And that sounds like a good idea, except they didn't really think it through, as they never do. And what happened was they ended up with these ladybugs, but their gestation period was different. So they all hatched, but like a month after the aphids. So it was too late for them to do anything about it. They were also very voracious, but so voracious that they actually ate out the native ladybugs as well.
When we were kids, we had red ladybugs.
Yeah.
And as adults, we have
orange ladybugs that bite.
A different species, yeah.
So now they actually bite. They don't take care of the problem they were meant to take care of, and they crowd out the original species, which sounds to me like nobody did their homework, right? Like these are the people in charge. But they all just assumed they knew everything and that they had this problem licked and here, let's just do this. And all they did was create new and bigger problems. And that's the story I think about whenever I think about these kinds of endeavors. Is I'm pretty sure you haven't thought this all the way through. Load it into the AI and see what that says. So, Srivastava Sai, hi, hello. Harlequin ladybug, they've invaded the UK too. See, Salford Lad knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Srivastava says, I have been a loyal subscriber from a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All caps. He wants to make sure.
Thank you.
Heard it.
All caps.
He's trying to be heard over the sound of the turkeys. The turkeys in the yard are freaking out right now. I don't know why. Who knows? We've had quite a bit of activity on the farm actually the last couple of weeks. We've had 16 baby turkeys hatch. And then just yesterday, I discovered 8 new baby ducks. So a whole pile of new babies on the farm. We also have 3 of our turkey babies from last month that are now kind of teenagers. Came down with a really bad bacterial infection that filled up their sinuses. And now they have these giant, huge pus-filled tumors all over their face. And it's pretty awful, actually. It's making their eyes close. So 2 of them became blind, so I've had to hand feed them. feed and water them to try to keep them alive and give them supplements to try to clear it up. One of them died, unfortunately, already. But she was very small still. But one of them, he's still blind, but he's still alive and sees somewhat spry. So we'll see if we can save them. It'll be really nice, but sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, turkeys don't do well in this hotter climate.
No.
Various parasites and things that they don't get up north bother them down here.
Yeah. So I love having turkeys. They're my favorite of all the birds we own. But and I really love turkey dinner. But they are a struggle to keep alive, that's for sure. They're really dumb and they're very fragile. So he says he wants to ask something. Please ask. Srivastav. I hope I'm saying that right. It's hard to see.
We try. We try our best, but we're not.
Self-reminds says cane toads in Australia are a similar thing. There's a great Simpsons episode with lizards that parodies this kind of thing. So cane toads here are really bad. I have to chase the dog away from the cane toads on a regular basis because she's a crack addict.
Hola, Maria.
Hola, Maria. P&B says ill-tempered.
The turkeys.
No, not really. The turkeys are very docile, right? They just kind of run away. They're not friendly, right? Like they're curious, so they'll come over and they'll be like,
they're more curious at breakfast time than any other time.
Yeah.
You got my food yet?
But if I start walking near them, they're like, oh, lady, don't get too close. Hello to Indonesia, Chances Jr. Nice to see you. Oh, there's a lot of people in there today.
Yeah.
So what's everybody doing for Sunday? We are spending the day recording a whole bunch of reactions because in 2 days I have to leave and go to our other house and try to finish our renovations by myself. So we're pre-recording a whole probably 2 weeks worth of reactions today. So if you have a reaction request, now is the time to put it in there because we'll be doing a whole bunch today. Jamie Landis says, glad she made it. I love Lowe's life in the jungle. Oh, house. Sorry. I can see, but only so much. In the jungle.
Vastness.
It's good. It's colder than it should be. It's summertime right now here.
Hot as hell during the day and super cold at night.
Yeah.
Just cloudless at night, I guess.
Yeah.
All the
I
heat
have
just goes into the vacuum of space.
I hate
tying
that.
it back to the previous conversation.
Yeah, so it's chilly at night, but wicked hot during the day. We're in dry season right now, so I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff done. I just planted a whole bunch of seeds for vegetables. So we'll see if we can fight off the leafcutter ants and actually get some peppers and broccoli this time.
I was out there fighting them yesterday. Hopefully I've won at least the battle.
So many leafcutter ants on the property right now, you guys. So I understood the concept of leafcutter ants before we moved here. I'd seen videos and whatnot of them, and I had no idea until we actually lived in it how much of a challenge this particular piece of nature is.
Well, I always thought they would be relatively uncommon in the jungle. Oh no, they're all over.
They're everywhere. Farm. We have 3 or 4 large hills just on this farm.
And a bunch of smaller ones. I was out hunting them yesterday.
They destroyed 4 of our mature citrus trees this year. We had to chop them down because they died. It's crazy. And they're very cool to watch. If you haven't seen leafcutter ants, they're really cool to watch. But they do nothing but make me cuss. And they're next to impossible to kill. Right? Like, I don't know, I've tried. I'm at the point where I feel like, let's just pour some diesel down the hole and light it up. But unfortunately, I would like to be able to grow something in the ground after. So we can't do that. Excuse me. So Joseph wants to make a Tory request.
Just
leave it here.
Pop it in the chat here.
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
make notes from
later.
the chat after. Yeah. So leave it here so we know. Balmy 23 Fahrenheit. Oh God. That's not exactly
bad for winter where we're from.
That's bad.
That's what, about -5?
That's just objectively bad.
Sure, in an absolute sense, it's pretty bad, but relative to what we lived through most of our lives,
Oh,
that's a late winter day that's
yeah,
not
we
too
left
cold.
it behind for a reason. It's terrible. I do not miss the cold at all. Actually, I complain at night when it gets chilly here. Like if I have to put on a sweater, I'm like, oh, why did I move to the tropics if I'm going to still have to wear a sweater? So I'm a bit delicate.
Not as delicate as the woman that was wearing a parka with the hood up at 20 Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, so when we first moved here, we lived closer to the capital in a little town there called Kachi. And one time we were out, we came home and it was evening. So the sun had gone down and it was about 20 degrees Celsius. So it was warm, right? Like that's warm. It's
68.
mild summer day in Canada. And we drove past this woman walking on the street and she was legit wearing one of those parkas with the fur around the hood, the quilted
The
parka
puffy quilted. Yeah.
with the hood up. And I was like, oh my God, it's not that cool, right? I guess if you're Costa Rican, it's that cold.
You're getting more like that though the longer we've been here.
I am, yeah, I'm getting more delicate now. I like the heat. My nose is actually starting to drip a little just in here right now because I'm a little chilly. I guess I need to put on a sweater.
No, that won't last. Another hour it'll be hot in here.
Eurovision 2025 Spain. Do you like?
I don't know if we've seen it.
Are they doing it right now? Oh shit. I haven't been keeping up on the news. I guess I should check because last year we did some Eurovision songs and we enjoyed it so much. I said, next year for Eurovision, let's do something. So if they started it already, I'm way behind. So yeah, I'd like to. Maybe we should check it out after. Oh, that'd be great.
We can look. See. See, I've been living in Costa Rica so long. I just said "see" reflexively. Hablamos poco español, Marie.
Oh, Jamie says my morning pics help her on the cold mornings. Yeah, well, you're welcome. I love sharing my good morning pics on. She's talking about on X because I always take a picture of the sunrise. We have a beautiful view of the sunrise. It comes up behind the volcano, the Panamanian volcano, which we can see from the property. So I always take a really nice picture of that. It's got a beautiful pink sky and has the volcano kind of silhouetted. So yeah, they're nice shots. I can't lie, Jamie. It never gets old stepping out of our bedroom and seeing that, right? Like all of our spaces are outside. So when we have an A-frame that we sleep in. There's just this tiny little bedroom in a cabin. And when I step out on the porch to go up to the main house to start coffee, it never gets old seeing that view in the morning. I can't get tired of it. So
it's especially nice after somebody's just sent you a picture from Canada and there's like 2 feet of snow on the ground.
Yeah, my mom sometimes shares pictures of their yard in Canada and I'm with like snow up to here. So, nope. I was never meant to live there. I don't know how I got born in Canada. I was never meant to live in a place like that.
Nobody was meant to live there.
Tori is joining a WW City US. What's WW?
Keep reading.
Oh, touristing. Burt Baccarat. You're not being serious right now. So yeah, is he gonna make us do Burt Baccarat songs?
Looking that way.
Oh Lord. Why don't you just ask for Mel Torme? Oh.
I'm not detecting a lot of enthusiasm for this idea, Ginger.
I'm a little concerned.
We should check at least one out.
Yeah, I mean, she has a great voice and everything, but I got the song choices. Like, this is not music I would listen to. So it'd be really, really nice if they could choose, I don't know. It's lounge music. I've never been really a lounge music fan. I'm not that old, actually. That's why. So, a 22-city tour. Wow. That's a lot of cities. I didn't realize she was doing so much traveling. That's a lot. I guess she's getting popular. That's good. Oh, Salford says, what's the sun? In Manchester, we have gray. Looks like year round for you guys.
Salford Lad could come down at the height of rainy season and not mind. It's like, whatever. It's
No
the same
matter,
as home,
okay,
but a little
you
warmer.
think so, okay, but don't believe him. I know I haven't been there, but I'm familiar with what rain is like in England. But rain, you've not seen rain like they have here in rainy season. There's very few places that have it like that. Like we're talking monsoon weather, and it's not usually like that in England. It's just kind of always wet, right? Like the London fog thing is a real thing. So I am the end interview. Go the subtitles. I don't know what that's in context of.
She's gonna put on subtitles in Espanol.
Oh, okay. PMB says Burt Bacharach is great. Talented, right? But it's kind of like I feel about Rush. They're talented, but I still don't care to listen to it. It's just not my thing. But Joseph said I have 2 tickets. Oh, you're in LA. I'm sorry. They have beautiful weather, so I hear. Bert was good in the Austin Powers flicks. I mean, good as funny, right? Like I guess it's not my kind of music. We'll check it out. And I always try to find something positive to say. And she does have a great voice, but yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't even know what I'd suggest that she covered. Does she have any original stuff? That would be interesting. I would be more interested in hearing originals. So it's not lounge music.
Well, we're gonna have to. I admit to a lot of ignorance, mostly before my time. So
My grandmother had some of his albums, and she was a big fan of lounge music. So I'd be surprised if I'm wrong about that. But.
well, we'll have to listen to something and find out.
Steph Lass requests Lacuna by Kid Moxie. Greek-born Elena, I can't read that, Charbilla produces her own music, now lives in LA and works as an actress. Has worked with David Lynch and Angelo, some word that I can't say. Working with David Lynch is impressive.
Possibly mentally harmful.
You got to be brave, I think, right? Like I've heard some stories about David Lynch that he's a kind of a very easygoing type, but like getting into that, his mindset has got to mess you up a little, right? You got to have some mental fortitude to afford that, navigate that landscape. I think I love David Lynch, right? Like I'm pretty sure you don't like David Lynch movies, do you?
I'm not much into
They're
the weird.
too weird for Mike, right? Like he doesn't like things that are unsettling. You never watch his movies that are unsettling.
I'm tough. I mean, I can handle this force of nature, but certain kinds of things are difficult.
Yeah. So I love unsettling. I like to be very mentally uncomfortable, right? Like I like exploring my shadows. So the more mentally uncomfortable, the better. So David Lynch has always been a small favorite of mine. So that would be interesting. Yeah, see, he's quoting Burt Bacharach. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's lounge music, dude.
You're in denial.
So, see, Jamie gets me. Bert isn't ginger adjacent. Correct. Correct. I like some jazzy stuff, right? Like I've always really liked Diana Krall, Michael Bublé, right? The lighter stuff. I don't like freeform jazz. I find it's kind of like a lot of prog rock. It's very self-indulgent and kind of ends up descending into just noise. But I like light jazz. Some, right? There has to be singing, right? Sometimes jazz is just music, and I find that it gets boring after a while. So, but yeah, lounge music is just if there's an organ in it,
Ginger's out.
Oh yeah, now there's rare exceptions. I think we did an Ina Roltzen song where she had an organ in it, and I was actually pleased that I liked it. but it's a tough call. It's like a harpsichord. It just grates on my ears.
Marie habla la idioma de todas.
What? What did you just say?
Marie is speaking the language of everybody.
Oh,
Todas las personas.
see. Okay. Angelo Badalamenti did the music for Twin Peaks. Oh, okay, I get you.
Kenny G. Nah, man.
How do you block somebody from the channel? I'm just joking. No, we're not doing Kenny G. No. I have very vast and wide-ranging tastes, right? Like I often make comments about how anybody that just kind of accidentally runs across my playlist is going to go, is this someone schizophrenic or something? Because I have some very odd adjacent choices on my playlist, but there's some things that I just can't get into, and lounge music is one of those things. It's kind of fine in context. If I went to like a cigar bar or a cigar lounge and was sitting back with a decent scotch and a cigar and just kind of relaxing in a lounge chair, then that kind of music sort of in the background would be inoffensive, and it might even add to the ambiance, but it really is context dependent. Yes. So Jamie says, I come to your channel for messy music. I got you. I got you. My music would be far too tame, methinks, unless you're interested in doing some Jethro Tull. Jamie, don't make me stop loving you. No, I'm not going to be doing Jethro Tull either. I'm not even sure I could name a Jethro Tull song, but I know I've heard it before, and I was like, no, that's not for me either. Same with like acid rock. Miss me with that. Totally. Which is weird because I really like I like industrial rock. It's not the harshness of it, right? It's something, there's a quality in it that just really, maybe it's a self-indulgence. Could be that. It's a little bit too spacey. Some Pink Floyd is like that. Like I like a lot of Pink Floyd, but there's some Pink Floyd that it's like, is this song ever going to end? And I can feel like that sometimes. So Marie wants to know, what time is it here? What time is it here?
About 9 o'clock.
You are correct. It's exactly 9 o'clock. So a.m. So it's still morning. I feel like I should have another coffee, actually.
I feel that way too.
4 p.m. Where is here? Oh,
Spain.
Spain. Yes, that's right. I forgot. Jamie, if so, I would recommend Velvet Green, a medieval hookup song. What does that mean? What's a medieval hook? I don't know. Maybe I don't want to spoil it. Let's put it on the list.
Just going to enjoy the
That
concept.
feels like I might be interested in checking that out just for the kicks. I love Carpenters and The Clash. Okay, that's an interesting variety. So, for an example, I have on my play.
Before it goes off screen, there's a question at the top there we should address.
Favorite movies. Oh,
Just don't forget. You can.
Oh my God, my list. Guys, you have to understand, I'm a friggin' huge movie junkie. I love watching movies. So my list is quite long of favorites. Why don't you go first? Favorite movies.
Grosse Point Blank.
Oh, I could have said that.
I love the music. I love the dark humor.
Yep.
I love it.
How do you not love Dan Aykroyd?
Dan Aykroyd as a hitman, like 30 seconds into that movie, I'm like, I'm going to love this movie.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, Grosse Point Blank is a great movie. That's not on my list of favorites, but it is a really good movie. I've watched it a few times with Mike because he likes rewatching it. Any more?
Christmas Vacation is a all-time classic.
Christmas Vacation and The Burbs are my two top favorite movies of all time. I can't lie.
Office Space.
Office Space is great.
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde is great. Yep. My other favorites. So I have one of the things I do when I'm doing work around the rancho, if I'm going to stay in the kitchen for a while, I like to put old movies that I've seen a million times on in the background. I find it easy to work through. movies that I can kind of recite from memory. And so my list of those, which would be my favorites, I think, are The Count of Monte Cristo with Jim Caviezel, one of my all-time favorites. I love revenge movies, right? Armageddon with Bruce Willis. Independence Day ranks up there. Oscar, which is a very obscure, very underappreciated movie. Mike hates it, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies. You guys, a huge all-star cast.
It's appreciated exactly the right amount, I got to tell you.
Shut up. It's got Sylvester Stallone, Marissa Tomei, Tim Curry, like a dozen other huge names. It's a hysterical movie. If you haven't watched it, you really should try it. It's one of those comedy of errors kinds of things, which is why Mike doesn't like it. He hates those kinds of movies. But you have to admit, it is funny. There are some funny bits in it. I love that movie.
Every moment of that movie. I can't even lie.
Oh, and like I said, The Burbs. What are some of the other ones that I put on that I really love?
I forget what you've gone through already.
I like the Alien movies a lot. I like a lot of science fiction. Oh, Jurassic Park movies. Right, like the first 4, all of those, I'll watch and rewatch. Right, like all the time. That's a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty up there.
I love the Terminator too. Terminator 1 for me.
Terminator 2 for me. Yeah, it's a really big. So that's an interesting conversation. When you meet somebody, you have to kind of ask them, which is your favorite Terminator movie, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2? It actually says a lot about somebody, what their answer is. So guys, put in there, which one? Are you T1 or T2? I'm a T2 person. I really love that liquid metal guy. Don't get me wrong, T1 is a great movie, but it's a little bit dated and it's a little slower paced. I like the faster pace of T2. The only problem I have is I really wish somebody would drive a nail through the head of that kid. What's his name? Edward something?
Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong.
As the young John Connor.
I'm really grateful that I've never seen him in another movie since.
Like I love the Sarah Connor T2 version where she's all like hardened up and it's like she becomes a great character.
Yeah.
It's also like epic, like what she turns into. It's fantastic. I love that. The effects are better. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the character of Kyle Reese in the first one.
Mm.
Like just like the poor,
quiet,
scarred,
brooding type,
but completely vulnerable and frail human going back there to save her.
Cat Stevens? No. I grew up with Cat Stevens. My dad had all of his albums. I don't know if there's a Cat Stevens song I haven't heard. I've never liked Cat Stevens. And I like him even less since he turned into a Muslim fundamentalist. So we will not be doing Cat Stevens. Sunrise roosters crowing. I got news for you. Those roosters crow all day and sometimes in the middle of the bloody night.
They start well before sunrise.
Yeah. So they're always crowing. Love and Rockets. Jamie, what are you doing to me? Oh my God. Who is this person?
I'm alive.
No.
Oh, oh, so
I hate Love and Rockets.
I don't mind Love and Rockets.
No, I hate Love and
Ginger's
Rockets.
not a fan.
No, my dad had their cassette when it first came out, the one that had the look on it. Was that the Love and Rockets? Did they do the look? You got the look.
That's
that
ABC.
What?
The look of the...
No. No, that's not the song I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah.
Sorry, Sarah, about
Sarah Beth. Yeah, she's never heard you sing.
She was once an innocent creature. Not anymore.
The Salvador says the Northern Boys are an interesting group. British pensioners doing funny, incredibly dirty rap. Put that on the list. I don't like rap, but I love me some old men talking
She loves
dirty. I've always been a fan of the dirty limerick. So, sounds a little like that. The Godfather and Citizen Kane. Okay, that's a thing about me. I know that I'm in this significant minority here, but I have always hated mobster movies.
Same.
I've never seen a single episode of The Sopranos. I've never watched an entire Godfather movie. I cannot stand mobster films.
The only mob movie I've ever enjoyed is what was it? Kevin Costner.
The Untouchables.
The Untouchables.
That's because the mob guys weren't the heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like watching movies about people taking care of mob guys. I really like that. But yeah, movies that glorify mobster culture, I've never liked that. I don't understand these people. I can't relate to the way they think at all. So I find it really difficult to watch without just wanting to punch them in the face. And I've known a lot, like I grew up in a mob town, so I knew a lot of people that were
mobbed up.
Yeah, there were high level mob people. And they were all very nice, right? Like we got along because I wasn't in their culture with them. I was just a neighbor, right? And I just minded my own business, which is the way I like it. But yeah, I've never liked mob movies at all. I can't watch them.
I'm very sad that nobody has got my back on the original Terminator. The Sulfur Dog wants to know Alien or Aliens.
That's a really hard call.
I'm
Very hard call.
Give me the first one.
I don't know if I could choose between the two.
I love a good action movie, right? And T2 and Aliens 2 are more action movies than their originals. But both of those original films are just dripping with atmosphere and tension, and
the slow tension is excellent.
And that's not normally my thing. I don't normally like tension, but those two do it so well, which is why they spawned franchises, right? Like the original movies were just great. Yeah, the Aliens is a tough call. It's almost completely equal. I'm hedging just a little more on the second one, just because I really like action, and it had quite a bit more action. And I won't lie, the first one, and don't get me wrong, perfectly cast. But I find Paul Reiser really irritating to watch. And I mean, he was exactly the perfect guy for the role he played, so it worked, right, in the movie. But it's still, I find his face is one of those faces I just want to. I don't like him. So, did you ever watch that show he was in? Was it Mad About You? That was him, right? Yeah.
With Helen Hunt.
Yeah, I watched it a little bit. The thing is with TV shows back in the day before streaming services, I could watch like the first season or two, and then I'd just get bored. Yeah. Yeah, I never watched it because I never liked him, and I really never liked her. It was like a double whammy for me. It's like, oh, I'm not watching those two people together. So Terminator 3. Jamie's on Terminator 3? Oh, wow. No, I would have never picked that one. I found that one really lacking. It was a big disappointment, actually. Sarah Beth says she loves your singing. Sarah Beth is a sick animal. Right? Have you been drinking, ma'am? Please put the martinis down. It's only 9 a.m. Okay. Did I know Peter Murphy is a Muslim? No. He is? He's been through a number of things. I think he was Buddhist for a while. Like he's one of these like he switches them out like Madonna. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't per se have an objection to Muslim in general, but Cat Stevens in particular has been a very vocal advocate of some very dangerously fundamental things about Islam. So it's a different thing, right? Like there's the people that just practice and mind their own business, and then there's the people that advocate for practices I don't agree with at all, that I think are really degrading to society. Cat Stevens would fall into that category. So it's not just a Muslim thing. It's a particular brand of Muslim that I have problems with. Mostly the ones that like to blow up buses and behead people. I'm not a big fan. And certainly the ones that want to just cover their wives completely. And I have problems with that. And I don't mind saying so. So that's okay. I love Morrissey too, and he's a vegan. So we can disagree on things and still like their music.
Jamie says, now you see why I don't request reactions. I'm very grateful all of a sudden. Says she's with you on the Terminator, just not her favorite. I can't believe you liked number 3. That's messed up. You should get that checked. Sarah Beth says, Noble usually favors the first and older versions of anything. He's still sleeping. What?
You
Your
need
husband's
some more.
still sleeping?
I know you got chickens. You got any roosters? Get on that.
What a lazy slacker. My goodness, I'm awake at 4:30 every morning at least. Of course, I have birds that wake me up. So Jason says, my client back in the day was the original Alien. He was also Harry and the Hendersons. Oh my goodness. So he's really tall, eh? He was the original Alien? How did he get all that cleared up? You take antibiotics for that? He had multiple legs. Okay. That's weird. And he didn't eat you. That's really weird. Alien stands alone. I saw it in the theater in 1979, and no movie has ever shocked audiences like that movie. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know if I would have said it was a big shocker, but
we can do it later.
I was young when that first came out. I watched it in the 80s when I was old enough to watch it. And so by that time, there was already a whole genre built around it. So I presume that at the time when it came out, I know it was groundbreaking at the time, but I can only observe from afar how that might have affected society in general. Forrest Gump is one of my all-time favorites. Salford Lad. Whew. Forrest Gump is a good movie. I like it. Mike hates Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So
I had my fill of Tom Hanks about 25 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Just
he tolerates me watching The Burbs because he doesn't have a choice.
I'm all about the Bruce Dern in The Burbs.
I would 100% divorce you if you told me I couldn't watch The Burbs anymore.
I just watched it for Bruce Dern.
He likes Bruce Dern. I love Bruce Dern in The Burbs, but we tolerate Tom Hanks in The Burbs. I actually like Tom Hanks' performance in The Burbs. I've watched a few Tom Hanks movies that I actually like, but Mike really doesn't like him. So we watched Forrest Gump. I think I've watched it maybe twice. And I agree with the internet that the biggest, what do you call it, villain in movies is Jenny. So, Sarah Beth says it's 8 a.m. That's still, that's half the day gone already.
I haven't been in bed till 8 a.m. since we moved down here.
No.
I haven't been in bed past 7.
Marie says her favorite is Working Girl with Melanie Griffith. Great movie.
I've never seen it. Maybe we should watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a kind of a chick movie. That's probably why. But you might enjoy it anyway.
You're kind of a chick.
Melanie, yeah, I've always really liked that one. Melanie Griffith with Sigourney Weaver and Harrison Ford.
I love me some Sigourney Weaver.
Oh yeah, Mike really likes that.
Me and your dad agree on that.
Yeah, I've never loved Sigourney Weaver as a kind of she's never really been a sex symbol to me. My dad always had a crush on her, and I never understood it until we watched, what was that movie, Heartbreakers. So if you have not watched Heartbreakers with Sigourney Weaver, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Ray Liotta, you gotta check it out, guys, because it's hysterical. Sigourney Weaver in a comedy movie. It blew my mind to watch her in this. And she was actually, she played a con artist that was using her feminine wiles to rope in these guys. And I was like, Sigourney Weaver is a sex symbol? I can't imagine it. But she pulled it off. It was great. It was a great movie. It had Gene Hackman in it too. Oh, such a great movie, guys. You gotta check it out. Anyway, Working Girl's a good movie. We'll check it. We'll see if we can find it and watch it, because it is a good movie. It's fun to watch. I love Melanie Griffith with that. She had that 80s hairspray hair, right? That huge puffy hair. Terrible. It was terrible, but it was good. No Way Out with Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman. Cold War thriller suspense. I feel like I have watched that, but I don't recall it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Never been a big fan of Gene Hackman, but I really love Kevin Costner. He's one of those people that I've warmed up to over time, and never loved him to start with. When he was really big.
Like Dances with Wolves big.
Yeah, I never loved him back then, but as he's gotten older, it got better and better. He was great in Untouchables. Like that was one of my favorite movies too. And he was good as Superman's dad. And he's been in so many since that, like the old grizzled Kevin Costner is the perfect Kevin Costner. He just gets hotter every year. So, oh, Sarah Beth says Noble stays up late writing. Okay, that's forgivable. Has to get the next anthology short story done. Guys, okay, so I don't know how to share that right now, but Sarah Beth's husband Noble is a writer. He writes fantasy, I guess I would call it. Great writer. I've read his first book. I wish I could remember. Put the name of it in there, Sarah Beth. My memory is so terrible, and it's been like 5 years since I read it, so I forget what it is. But I'm looking forward to the sequel. Why don't you tell him to get on that? But I definitely recommend. So Sarah Beth, if you have a link to his book, throw it in there so other people can check it out. Because if you like fantasy, you should read it. He's a really good writer. So Jamie says the trailer for Alien gave nothing away. Nobody knew what they were walking into. See, I kind of love when trailers do that. I love to be kind of astonished when I get into the movie theater. Like I like being surprised. What was another movie that actually really affected me more than I thought it was gonna was I Am Legend with Will Smith. We watched that in IMAX the first time, and like that movie affected me so hard for days after. Like I couldn't stop. I had nightmares. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's kind of terrifying. I love dystopian fiction where there's like an apocalypse that just wipes out. I was a huge Walking Dead fan, right? Like The Walking Dead was another thing. We watched the Walking Dead series, and for like the first 2-3 seasons, I had trouble sleeping at night because I would spend my night in bed planning what I was going to build to protect us from the zombie apocalypse because I was terrified. It was so real to me. But I love stuff like that. I love stuff that actually genuinely scares me. It makes me think about how I would survive. I love exploring that stuff. Mike, not so much. That's why
I got all I need right here.
I take care of all that for him. He's like, I do all the planning. He's just the heavy lifter. Slurped, yes, make your reaction request here because we're doing a bunch of reaction recording today. So I will be using the list from this chat to add to our list. But no Burt Baccarat. That's the rule. Okay. Confession. I like Step Up movies. What's a Step Up movie?
It's like one of those like dance themed things. Kind of like a movie that I like, but with dancing instead of singing. What's the one with the a cappella groups?
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect. It's like the Pitch Perfect movies, only with like dancing.
Oh, okay.
Pitch Perfect.
Oh, Salford Lad nails it. I suspect Tom may have visited a certain island a few times. Straight facts. And that makes it difficult to watch his movies now.
Yeah, I can't stand looking at his face anymore.
Yeah. I watched Captain Phillips actually just last week for the first time, just because I was sewing and I wanted something on. But and it was okay, but I do find it really difficult now. Jamie says The Burbs, Carrie Fisher in a sundress. Enough said. She was great in that movie. She played like the perfect suburban mom. Field of Dreams. Joseph cries during that one. That was a good movie. That's an old one I haven't thought about in a long time. Kevin Costner, right?
If you build it, they will come.
Indeed. The White Arrow. Oh, that's the name of Noble's book, The White Arrow. If you have like an Amazon link or something, throw it in there, Sarah Beth. I think it was Amazon where I bought it. So anyway, Midnight Express. What movie? I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I definitely haven't seen it.
I don't even.
That's like a Dustin Hoffman or something like that from like the late 70s, early 80s. Let me know if I'm wrong, Joseph.
I don't know. Midnight Express. I don't know. How about a TV series? So much good TV these days. A-list actors. So I found it. Okay, I have another. This is another subject I like to talk about. I found it really interesting that it used to be way back, like think 80s, when I was just starting to get into watching entertainment because I was a kid / teenager. TV was where the A-list celebrities went to die, right? Like you had the A-list celebrity, every A-list celebrity wanted their movie. When you made it to the movies, you made it. And TV was where the B-list people went, the soap operas and the sitcoms, right? The people that couldn't make it in the movie industry. And it was kind of like that for a long time. And then as soon as streaming services hit, I think it was HBO that really started it.
Like
With maybe
premium drama.
Game of Thrones maybe might have been the one that busted the whole genre out. The idea that television could replace movies. They just dumped a ton of money into just making super high quality long version. They're technically movies, but they're 20 hours long. And suddenly you see all the A-list actors are in television shows, and it totally reversed the whole dynamic of that. It was sort of like now instead of trying to get a big blockbuster movie, you really kind of made it if you got yourself a big series.
If I can get a little John Malkovich red on you, they switched the flip.
They switched the flips. That's right. And I found that really interesting to watch because we're just the right age where we got to see the metamorphosis of that because we grew up in the age where it was the opposite way and then watched the change happen almost overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It was really incredible. So it's to the point now. I mean, now we don't go to the movies very often because the movie theater is 3 hours away, and most of the time they're only in Spanish. And our Spanish still isn't good enough.
It's coming along, but it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Although we did accidentally watch the Beetlejuice sequel in Spanish, and I had no trouble following it.
We watched the Beetlejuice sequel in Spanish, and we watched Dune 2 in Spanish here. So we don't go to the movies anymore for that reason, but also there's a lot less movies out there that are worth watching anymore.
I remember being a teenager in the 80s, and every week there's like 2 or 3 that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see everything I wanted. There were so many interesting movies coming up.
Yeah. As far as TV series, what have we watched recently that we actually
It's
enjoyed?
really good. Been a while.
It hasn't been a lot. We watched things and they just end up being kind of meh.
Yeah, just fast food of TV.
Yeah, like I'm
There's been some great
a
stuff.
documentary junkie now, and I love true crime. So the Netflix documentaries, I've watched them all.
There seemed to be a sweet spot for me in TV about 15 or 20 years ago where all kinds of really good stuff came out. Remember we watched Misfits out of the UK?
Misfits was a great show, guys, from the UK. If you haven't seen it, you have to try to seek it out. I don't know where they have it anymore, but the Misfits was a great show. You're right. That was a good one. I really liked Mindhunter, and I'm really, really upset that they did not renew it because that was a great show. Like I said, I love true crime, and I liked the dark and dramatic feel of that one. So that was a good one.
I know it wasn't your thing, but I also really enjoyed the Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah,
series.
I can't do British TV at all, guys. I really can't. There's some British
I need
stuff
the
we
Sam
watched.
Tyler jacket.
Can't do it. Some of the Scandi noir stuff we really enjoy.
Oh, what was it? The Wild Wilderness. The one that they did in both Welsh and English. Same actors did it all and did it twice. Once in English and
I
once
don't
in Welsh.
remember what that was called.
Yeah, but you know the one I'm talking about. Hinterland.
Oh, Hinterland was good. Yeah. So Sarah Beth says she liked The Simple Favor. I love The Simple Favor too, actually. That's the first movie I ever saw Blake Lively in. And I was really impressed by her. Of course, she's falling out of favor these days, but I love Anna Kendrick. Love Anna Kendrick. I'll watch anything with her in it. Another movie with her in it that was really good was was it Mr. Right? Or Mr. Wrong? I can't remember what it was called, but it had Sam. I'm gonna look it up because it's so good I can't remember. Anna Kendrick. What's his name? Sam
Kinison?
No.
No! Ah! That was a terrible Sam Kinison. Be good. I was yelling.
It was a terrible Sam
I
Kinison.
can't even do his voice.
It's called Mr. Right, and it's Sam Rockwell. Sam
Ah.
Rockwell, who I also really love. If you haven't seen Mr. Right with Sam Rockwell and Anna Kendrick, guys, oh, okay, that's not going to work. You got to check it out. It's hysterical.
What was his character? Guy? Something in the Tim Allen.
Oh, Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Great movie. Another good movie. Galaxy Quest was a great movie. And yeah, his character was Guy. He was the red shirt guy.
He didn't have a last name until after they restarted.
He was the red shirt.
I don't even have a last name.
It's because you're wearing a red shirt. Maybe you haven't seen the show. Anyway, Jeremy wants to know if there's any new music we're excited for this year. I don't know what's coming. I'm not very good about keeping track. I should get better at it. Music is one of those things that I just kind of randomly stumble upon. I never seek it out. It just sort of happens to me. So I don't know what's coming. I find as I get older and older, it's true what they say. When you get older, you start just kind of sticking with the things you know, and you get less and less exploratory about music. Or at least that's how it's worked out for me. So I'd be interested to see what's coming from some of my favorites. That would be nice. Please do a reaction video with Davina Michelle. She mainly did covers of which are all beyond good, but now has her own songs out. Her live performance of Liar. Okay.
Duly noted. Thank you, sir.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with her or the song Liar, but Shogun series. Is Shogun on that? I don't think we have that one on our Netflix because we have Netflix Costa Rica.
Canada. Netflix Canada. We don't even have the Netflix Costa Rica.
If we have Netflix Canada and not Netflix Costa Rica, why does it keep telling me #1 in Costa Rica today?
Because it knows where we are.
So anyway, it does.
It's not American Netflix.
The point is, it's not. We don't have Shogun on ours, which is unfortunate. I don't understand why they do that. Like me, I guess it's licensing. The licensing rules are complete bullshit, guys. I really have a problem with that stuff. I think it doesn't make any sense that you would want to limit your audience.
Mm-hmm.
I can't figure out why they do that, but anyway.
Follow the money.
Saint Elsewhere. Oh my God, Jamie, how old are you? That's a really old one. Babylon 5. My mom loved that show. That was not one of never liked that one.
Something about the aesthetic I didn't.
Yeah,
enjoy.
it's the aesthetic of that. It had this sort of kind of cheesy, half-baked feel to it that I never enjoyed. Same with like the original Star Trek. My mom loved the original Star Trek, and I just couldn't get into it because it was just ugly. Like the look of it was ugly. The colors they used, and I could feel the static on the fabric, right? Like of their shirts, that polyester. Like I could hear the scratchiness of the polyester. Man in the High Castle. Great series. It started out great. It ended up descending over time to less good, but the concept is amazing, which is the reason we started watching it. And I really loved the guy who played the head Nazi. I can never remember his name. He was in Dark City. I always mix him up with Ray Liotta, but I love him. Whatever his name is, I love him. He's a great actor. I'll watch anything with him in it for sure. What else? He hasn't owned a TV in 10 years and does not miss the commercials. Same, man. That's one of the things that made me really mad about Amazon Prime is I'm paying for the streaming service and then you're also throwing commercials in still. F that. I just canceled that. Forget it. We're not doing that. Carl B. Thanks for the Electric Six and Paramore reactions. Thanks for the suggestions. Yeah, we enjoyed those. The Electric Six was fun. I like Paramore. It's a bit of a departure from our normal stuff, but she has a great voice, and it's nice to explore them. They have a kind of a strange sensibility that I don't quite understand yet, but I like the confusion of it somewhat. And I like the enigmatic. Speaking about Mindhunter, I saw a recent photo of worm rot where their drummer looks like Ed Kemper.
That's terrifying.
The dude that played Ed Kemper in that show was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And every time I've seen him in something else since, it's all like, I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that guy. Just the other day I saw him in something and I was like, oh shit, that's Ed Kemper.
Yeah, I remember.
Amazing actor. What a great performance. So yeah, it was worth watching just for his scenes alone. He was actually my favorite one in the whole show. Yeah. Jeremy Coster. I know Manchester Orchestra is currently working on a new album. That excites me.
That'll be good.
That would be great. Severance is a really good. Yes, I was just saying earlier in the chat that we're gonna turn off the Netflix and switch that money to Apple TV because I've heard so much about Severance. I watched the trailer for, I guess it's season 2, and I was like, what the hell is this show about? But I also really want to watch it. Like, I'm really interested in this. It looks really good. So, get a VPN and watch whatever countries Netflix you want. Oh, we had a VPN. Does that work? Can you do that on Netflix? We used to do that for Hulu because when we lived in Canada, we got a VPN and signed up for Hulu. And then Hulu got all bitchy about it and canceled our service because they didn't like that we were using a VPN. And I was like, you don't want my money? Really?
Not legally allowed to take your money.
Crazy. I think that's crazy. I don't understand it at all. But that sounds really complicated. We don't watch that much TV. So, I mean, it sounds like we do, but we're not married to it. It wouldn't be hard for us to we almost canceled everything and we were just like, we'll just watch whatever's on YouTube. But, and now that Spotify has a bunch of video content, we watch, like, we love podcasts. So, Shogun is on Disney Plus. I am not giving my money to Disney. Straight up. Just on principle alone. And I'm upset because I think they own the X-Files franchise now.
Do they?
I think so. I think all the X-Files is moved to Disney Plus, which is the only reason I would ever actually consider it. But on principle, Disney gets zero of my money.
The truth is out there.
No. They have to clean up their act before I'm going to trust them ever. If ever. I don't even know that I would. Jamie's only 59. St. Elsewhere?
No, St. Elsewhere was on when we were kids. I'm just about to turn 54, so I'm not far behind. I remember St. Elsewhere being on TV.
I remember it too, but I thought it was only really old people watched it. I never watched it, but like it was kind of like a soap opera, right? It was one of those hospital soap operas.
Hospital drama.
Yeah, I never cared for soap operas at all. So even like hospital dramas, I watched a couple in the day, but I get really tired of them fast. What was that big one that the kids all watched? The girls all watched with McDreamy. Dreamy McDreamy.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, never watched. Couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I watched Scrubs a little bit because I really liked that weird doctor. The crazy one that almost like he had Tourette's. I loved him.
The guy from Office Space, who was one of the Bobs.
Yes.
Yeah,
whatever
John
his
C.
name is.
McGinley is the actor.
Is that his name? Oh, he's hysterical. I love that guy. Do we get any concerts? Music Fest. So Envision Festival is about to happen next month. We don't go to stuff like that. We don't like crowds. And it's usually full of really smelly hippie types and a lot of pickpockets. So I'm not a big fan of music fests. I'm a bit of a downer that way. Concerts I like. We haven't gone to any since we got here. I'm sad and disappointed because Lord of the Lost actually is playing with Powerwolf in San Jose in April. And we would love to go, but I don't think we'll be able to have the time or the money to afford to go see that. It's a small venue, so it's really tempting to kind of make room for it in the budget, but it's really hard right now. While I'm still in the middle of the renovations on the house, it's ended up costing a lot more than it should, so we're super tight. And that's a disappointment, but there's not a lot of concerts that come here for people that
and even the ones that do, that's 6 hours from our house.
Yeah, San Jose is very far. And it's worth the trip for somebody big, but we haven't come across anybody recently. But I do like going to Mike's not so big on concerts. It's really loud and he doesn't like crowds either. But I will go to those things for certain bands. Like I would see Tool anywhere. Oh, Tool's coming this year to Costa Rica. So I'm going to have to try for that one. I would make the trip for that. So was it Tool or was it Pucifer?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Tool. I saw that Tool is coming to Costa Rica this year, so that one I'm going to have to save my pennies for.
Anyway,
Mike will not join me for that.
no, you can take one of your.
Who am I going to take?
You're going to take Lau.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Okay, I'll have to take one of my friends because Mike is not a Tool fan. And getting Mike into a concert for anybody would be tough, but for Tool it would just be impossible. But I'm hoping that we eventually get to...
I go to concerts of good bands.
We're
Rodeo.
planning
Morrissey.
to go see The Warning at some point when we get the chance. That would be a nice trip. We would make the fly to Mexico City for them if we could afford it. So,
Sarah Beth, check out the Envision Music Festival. See if you guys want to come down for that next year.
I can't even imagine Noble with all those dirty hippies. It would actually be fun to watch, though.
You girls can go to the festival and I'll hang out with Noble up on the mountain.
No, it would be more entertaining to watch Noble in the crowd with those dirty hippies. Are you kidding? So the Yellowstone sequels. So lots of people talk about Yellowstone. We started watching it. I could not get into it. That woman, the blonde lady, she's a heinous creature. Like, I just did not. Oh, a TV show that I watched recently. I can't even lie. I must have rewatched it.
Oh, yeah.
5-6 times. I cannot stop watching The Fall of the House of Usher. It's absolutely probably in my top 3 television series of all time favorites. I liked The Game of Thrones. I liked The Walking Dead. And The Fall of the House of Usher is probably top. I cannot believe how much I like that show. Stellar performances all around from everybody. And I really love stories. One of my favorite kinds of stories is the kinds of stories where karma gets its way, where bad people suffer the consequences of their actions in a vicious and bloody way. And that show was pure poetry. I absolutely, quite literally poetry.
Yes.
It was based on The Raven. Such a good show. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Mike
And I forgot
did
Fringe.
not watch it.
I forgot Fringe.
Oh, he liked French, yeah.
I love Fringe.
Yeah,
Let's
Mike
go
likes it
make some
quirky. He doesn't
LSD.
like it too dark.
Let's go make some LSD.
I don't think so. Disney killed Star Wars. Yeah, that too. That's for sure.
I've seen some
Luther is great. Yeah, I didn't love Luther as much, but I really like Idris Elba, so I've grown to appreciate it more over time. I have a real trouble with British TV. I can't figure
I
out.
love British TV.
No.
We disagree on this.
Yeah. General Hospital. What? Sarah Beth, you're killing me now. You and Jamie got to get together. Oh, yeah, no. I'm not I can't do soap operas. I did back when I was a teenager. I watched All My Children and Another World for like a whole year of my life. And that was it. And after that, these people are crazy. I couldn't get into how weird and nonsensical their choices were. So, Sarah Beth says, not so sure about the Envision. What's Tomorrowland? Is that a music festival?
I don't know.
I don't know. We've driven through the traffic to Envision once, and that was bad enough, right? Like, yeah, Envision, I think, is techno and trance.
I don't remember. We did look and see who was coming last year.
I can't remember. It's not our kind of music either, right? Like, so it would be a real stretch for us. I mean, we're middle-aged. I think it's a little old. We're a little old for that.
I might be bordering on old.
You're born old.
Fair.
Okay, the Yellowstone prequels are nothing like the main show. Yeah, they did prequels to Yellowstone? So we're way behind.
1883 and 1920.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It's the kind of show that you'd think I would enjoy. We really liked Longmire.
Yeah, Longmire was good.
Longmire was a great show. I fell in love with whoever that dude is that played the sheriff, Longmire. I friggin' love him.
He's Australian, huh?
He is Australian, yeah.
Did a great job of not sounding Australian. I don't know how authentically Wyoming or wherever they were he was, but he definitely didn't sound Australian. So, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that character. I was deeply in love with him. I hated his sidekick, that blonde lady.
You hate her and everything.
I do hate her and everything. She was in that TV show, that science fiction show. What was it that you watched?
Well, she was in Battlestar Galactica, but then she was in another one too.
Yeah. She's one of those ones that the show has to be really, really good for me to watch with her in it, because she'll actually wreck it.
Oh, Marie likes Stargate. I liked Stargate too.
I liked the movie, but the television, my mom had the whole series on DVD. And she watched and rewatched it all the time. I could not watch that show.
But you liked Stargate Universe, which was the one that got canceled quickly.
I loved Stargate Universe. That was a great version of that show. I did not understand and I understand I'm in the minority here, but that was one of those shows that I never understood why people watched it. Like, it just had this really kind of cheesy look to it. Yeah. That was one of those things. I'm a bit of a snob about that. I loved the movie. The movie was great. Kurt Russell was awesome. And James Spader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great movie. We should rewatch that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching that. I love that kind of lore, right? Like the lore behind the pyramids and the idea of the pyramids and space aliens, that whole thing. If you make a movie about that, I'm almost always going to give it a go, right? Like, yeah. I might not love it. They don't always turn out but I'll always give it a shot because I really love the lore. Sarah Beth says they've been going to EM fests. Really? Huh. Yeah. I don't know. EDM's one of those things. I guess if in context in the space, maybe I could get into it. That's something that Mike would rather stab his ears out with a fork, I think. So, did I know about Peter Murphy collaboration with Tool's drummer and bassist? Hell no. What?
You have her attention.
What? My goodness. We're going to have to check that out. No, that would be amazing. Tool's drummer is exceptional, right? Like that. Actually, the whole band, it's every once in a while, a band comes up where there's it's hits all around, right? Lots of bands, you have like the lead singer stands out and shines, or like the drummer is the draw, right? And everybody else kind of keeps up, but there's really one shining member. But then you have a band like Tool, for example, where everybody's at the top of their game. Mm-hmm. Mike's not a fan of the style, but you have to admit,
I respect the ability.
Yeah, technically the musicianship is brilliant, right? So yeah, there's no misses in a band like that. Stargate SG-1 just dragged on and on, right?
Yeah, for what, 11 seasons or something?
It's ridiculous like that. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. It seems so strange. But then it's funny because you take something like Stargate and it had that aesthetic, and then Firefly wasn't much different in concept, but Firefly was amazing and I really loved it. And I can't figure out what it is.
You like the Joss Whedon dialogue.
Maybe it is that. Maybe it's that. Joss Whedon, it's hard to miss with a Joss Whedon show. I do like the writing and the dialogue. So maybe that, you're right. Maybe it is that.
Stefan has got my back on Fringe. I know you never much cared for it.
Fringe was okay.
I liked Fringe a lot.
Just I didn't love it a lot.
I loved the whole concept, and I thought I really appreciated the little things like Walter and Folivia. That's just clever, right? Like, nice.
Yeah, okay.
I liked it.
No, okay. One of my all-time favorite shows is Fringe, a bit of a different take on the X-Files. Yeah, see, I liked the X-Files because it was mostly serious and dark. I liked the one-off episodes that were kind of comical. Like, my favorite X-Files episode of all time was the one with the genie. The gal that looked like Janine Garofalo, but wasn't Janine Garofalo, and she played a genie, right? Rolled up in a carpet, and she was giving wishes to people. One of the most hysterical and entertaining X-Files episodes ever. I've watched it and rewatched it at least a dozen times, and it never gets old. But most of the time, the thing I liked about X-Files was the atmosphere, how dark and kind of foreboding it was. Like, it was genuinely disturbing and terrifying, right? And you felt tension. And Fringe never felt that way for me. It always felt like it wasn't taking things seriously enough. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I didn't enjoy it as much. Is it almost?
But the fun
there
was half
too
the
much
fun.
of this, right? It's like
The fun was half the fun.
Yep. Well, the thing is, sometimes, but I don't know. I couldn't get into it. It was okay. We've watched several seasons together.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay, just not great. Not in the same category as X-Files for me at all. So, Boston Legal. I tried Boston Legal, and I like legal dramas. We watched Suits, all of Suits, which was great. And I watched The Good Wife, was really good. Mike didn't watch it. He doesn't like that. But Boston Legal, I tried. I could not enjoy it. And no matter what anybody says, I really did not enjoy the Danny Crane thing. I understood what they were going for. I really liked Ally McBeal. And it felt like Danny Crane was trying to
get it right.
Danny whatever.
Danny Crane.
Was trying to be Richard Fish. But Richard Fish pulled it off way better. William Shatner's character I found just irritating, not entertaining irritating like some people are, right? Just plain irritating. Like another character that was entertaining irritating was the guy that played Lewis in Suits, right? He was that kind of character too, but it worked. But for some reason in Boston Legal, I just couldn't buy in at all. I found him just irritating. And I like James Spader too. James Spader we watched in Blacklist. Fabulous show. That was a great show.
Well, I think it kind of petered out and it came back, and I hear things about how that wound up.
The later seasons were awful. They got really bad.
Started great.
But the first 2 or 3 seasons, I was like totally in. I loved James Spader's character. It was amazing. I never liked Elizabeth. I found her also really irritating. She made stupid choices. But I always really enjoyed James Spader's character. And I was shocked to see him back. Like, I hadn't seen him since the John Hughes days. And suddenly there's James Spader on the TV. And I didn't even realize he was still around.
That's because you weren't watching Boston Legal.
And he was great. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Okay. Dark Shadows. That's a show. I never really watched Dark Shadows, but I was a little young for that one. Did we ever watch Black Mirror? I love the Black Mirror shows. I've watched them all. I find them very difficult to watch, though. They are genuinely terrifying. Like, because of how real they feel, right? Like, you can actually see that happening. The one about the Christmas one.
Oh, yeah. Terrifying.
The Christmas one is one of the most terrible episodes of television I've ever seen with John Hamm.
Can I say, though, how much I really love the idea of the one, she was in the 80s, like in the mall, and it was like a virtual reality, like in your mind retirement community for old people. I'm like, I want that to be real. When I get old and feeble, I just want my mind to check out of my body and go to the mall in the 80s.
I hate going to the mall. That would be like
but it wasn't just the mall.
It
was like a beachside resort town, and it was the 80s.
I don't know. I love reality.
So that would be awesome.
I don't like checking out.
Yeah.
It's weird for you because you don't like checking. Like, Mike doesn't even drink, right? Like, he doesn't like checking out.
But when you get old and frail and your body is a prison, suddenly it's the 80s and you're young. And
if my body becomes a prison, I'm checking out permanently. That's the rule. I told Mike, just put a pillow over my face and I'll leave a note saying I gave you permission so you don't go to jail, right? Just that. Once my body is a prison, I don't want to be around anymore. I want to be sentient, cogent, and mobile somewhat.
And fierce.
Well, I'm willing to forego fears as I age. That could happen, but yeah. But yeah, the Black Mirrors were great. They were a great cautionary tale and warning. The one with the robotics, like those robotic dogs,
Oh yeah.
terrifies the living shit out of me, guys, when I see those Boston Dynamics things on TV. Yeah, we're living in it already. The one with Bryce Dallas Howard, where it's like the social media thing. First of all, that's the first time I've ever seen her in anything, and she was hopelessly adorable. Like I fell in love with her right away. She had this perfect kind of pink, pert face. But that also was kind of terrifying because it was almost like seeing what it must be like to live in China, sort of.
Social score.
Their social credit score system.
Scoring.
All right. Bryan Cranston, Lucy Liu, Ryan Reynolds, and Jack Black got started on X-Files. Bryan Cranston's a great actor. I watched Breaking Bad. I really enjoyed Breaking Bad. Mike did not watch that with me. And I really enjoyed Better Call Saul. He was fabulous. But my favorite character in both of those series was Mike. Like, Mike is my kind of guy.
Thank
you. Anybody who hasn't watched it, you're going to have to watch it just for Mike. Like, he was the best character. But I really loved what was the villain's name again?
Gustavo Fring.
Gustavo Fring.
I don't even watch it on.
Brilliant bad guy. He was my kind of bad guy too. This is very kind of unassuming, very chill, but viciously dead, like white hot deadly. I love that. That was amazing. It was a great show. One thing's for sure though, Walter?
Yeah, Walter White.
Walter was the definitive bad guy in that show. And I think that's a controversial take. But the truth is, he was the bad guy right from the beginning. He took a coward's way out and he turned into a very awful person. Petty, childish, self-centered, right? And completely destructive to everything around him. It was kind of devastating to watch the metamorphosis over time. I think it was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
But like I know when I first started watching it, there was the rhetoric around the show was everybody tried to feel sorry for this guy because he kind of made these choices because he was forced into it because of medical bills. And I'm like, this looks like a guy that doesn't need that far pushing to me.
he was just looking for an excuse.
He was looking for an excuse to kind of. So I find this with passive aggressive people are like this, right? They have these urges to do destructive, cruel, and petty things, but they want to have exigent circumstances like environments around them that give them permission to do it in a way that they can pass it off. Like, what's your problem complaining, right? And I got that feel from him throughout the whole show. It was like that. It was always, he would have done it. He'll do anything he wants as long as he can find a way to make it look like he's trying to be the good guy. I have an ex-husband like that, so I'm kind of super sensitive to that kind of attitude. Yeah, but it was entertaining to watch for Mike and Gustavo. I liked those guys. I would have dinner with them. Of course, I would never turn my back.
No.
Never. Well, I would on Mike. But anyway. James says I'm batting a bucket of suck today.
All right, Jamie, we love you anyway.
So Slurpdast says, in many of our reaction videos, the background looks like a rainforest. Is that your actual garden? Yes, it's our backyard. We're inside the cabin right now because it's really bright outside, and when we find when we're backlit, it's hard to see us. So
we just become shadowy figures.
With the wind and the turkeys and the roosters, it can be very noisy and distracting. So we're trying to record inside for now, actually. We love recording outside because it's so beautiful out there, but it's really difficult to see.
Tough to manage the conditions.
Yeah.
Right. If it starts raining, we're undercover, but you hear the rain hitting everything around us.
Yeah. So
if
we
the
live
sun
in
hits the wrong
Costa Rica.
angle.
So this house, we're in a rural farm area. So it's not, and it's at the top of a mountain, like 3,600 feet. So it's not really rainforest up here. It's just kind of forest, which is beautiful and perfect for us because the temperature is mild. It's not too hot. Our other house that we own that we're fixing up to rent out is more in the jungle. So its background is more banana trees and
Mountains and jungles.
that's technically cloud forest up there. It gets foggy every day. So it's cloud forest up there.
That's where the howler monkeys live.
Howler monkeys there. I don't like the howler monkeys. All right. So bye, Joseph. I don't know if I caught you before you actually left. Thank you. I'm sorry. We're getting behind on the comments. As far as sci-fi goes, The Expanse is a great one. Yeah. So Mike really liked The Expanse. I kept trying it. I couldn't get into it.
The first time I tried to watch The Expanse, I gave up after a couple episodes. I had a hard time with, I don't know, getting into the world or something. But I went back and tried it again later and stuck with it a little longer, and it totally sucked me in. It was really good.
Didn't The Expanse have that girl in it too?
What girl?
The blonde one that I don't like.
No.
It had a character that I really found irritating. I can't remember who it was.
Well, that may well be, but it wasn't her.
Sometimes that'll do it for me, guys. Just one really irritating character. If the story's not really exceptional, it'll actually turn me right off the whole show. A good example of a show that persisted despite that is Suits. The guy that played Mike in that show.
And then there's the glory that is Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle I actually enjoyed in that show. That was way back in like the early part of her career. I didn't mind her in that show. She has since become like a nightmare, but I don't have to be married to her, so who cares? I just mostly ignore her. I have a friend who is on YouTube. He's called The Royal Rogue. The body language guy, Jesus Enrique Rosas, and he does videos of body language, critiques or assessments. And he's fabulous. And he is a sworn enemy of Meghan Markle. The two of them.
I'll catch this one before we lose the person.
Meghan Markle and him have this long-standing rivalry, and it's actually quite fun to watch. So I will recommend him if you're interested in stuff like that. He's fabulous. If you love the Spanish accent, you're going to love listening to him talk. Sometimes I watch his videos just because I like his accent. Okay. I don't know what Marie's asking. You're going to upload this live? We are live right now.
But it will stay up.
Yeah, it'll stay up. So you can rewatch it later if you want. Gillian Anderson, the best thing about X-Files. You know, I just finished rewatching some of Hannibal, and I forgot how much I loved her in that show. She is, and it's funny because I understand back in the day when X-Files was around, Scully was a bit of it was kind of geek hot. I understood that, but I never really felt that way. But when I saw her in Hannibal, I was like, damn.
She's white hot.
Gillian Anderson is hot. Like, really hot. What was that other British show she was in with the serial killer? She was some kind of detective, right? She was a detective.
I don't remember what
Jamie something is based from 50 Shades was in it. He was a serial killer. Can't remember the name of the show. But she was really hot in that one. I love her as a blonde. I like blondes, guys, but I love her as a blonde. She was great in Hannibal. Hannibal's another one of those TV shows I friggin' love. I love Mads Mikkelsen. That's Mads Mikkelsen. I love him. And that was one of those shows where I'd watch it and I'd be like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but he makes cannibalism look really delicious. Like, I'm thinking I would actually eat that. It was weird. I'm a huge foodie, so for me, I'm watching it going, that actually looks like it'd be really tasty. So changes your perspective.
We're pushing 2 hours.
I'm enjoying myself.
I am too, but I'm eager to get out of this chair and maybe eat something. I'm getting hungry.
Oh, okay. Then we don't want him getting hangry, guys. Jamie says Trump expressed sympathy to Harry for Meghan. For real, but as far as I'm concerned, Harry made his bed, man.
True.
He made his own bed. Now, don't get me wrong. I also made poor choices in marriages, so I'm sympathetic somewhat. But when you get to the point where you're shunning and shaming your whole family publicly, you've made bad choices, right? So I'm not sympathetic. I feel sorry for their kids if they're real. That's if they're real.
Bye, Sarah Beth.
Bye, Sarah Beth, honey. All right. Morning
All for
duties
that.
and yard
Ciao.
work. And she's glad to hear I prefer blondes. I've seen Sarah Beth in a bikini. Anyway, okay. So did I ever watch? I watched Twin Peaks. We were talking about David Lynch earlier. I watched Twin Peaks and really enjoyed it. Sherilyn Fenn, I think, was. I got a mad crush on her after that show. I always really enjoyed Twin Peaks. I found it so strange. It was just my kind of strange. So there's been some David Lynch stuff that, like Lost Highway, was a little bit. It missed me a little. It felt like it was going to be good, but I had trouble with it. Was it Bill? That's not Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton.
Never watched.
I sometimes struggle with him. But what's that show I watched with him recently about? It was a crime show too with Bill Paxton. You didn't watch it though. The Sinner. The Sinner? I think it was The Sinner. That was pretty good, but difficult to watch. That was really hard to watch. Anyway, okay. Bye, Salford Lad. Jamie says she's not sorry for Harry either. Okay, so yeah, we're at 2 hours now, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys all for joining in. That was fabulous. So that sometimes our live chats end up being kind of quiet and sullen, but that was a lot of fun. I'm actually losing my voice. I've been talking too much. That was fun. So we should do it more. I like when the conversations bust out into other things, not just music, because music is great, but there's so many other things I like talking about too. It's been fun. Everything that's entertainment is up for grabs here. The Northern Boys. Okay, so we're going to do that. Take care, Jeremy. Bye, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Yeah, enjoy your day.
Wish me luck with my sick turkeys, and we'll see you on the channel. You're going to click.
I click and stream.